PianoLessons.com, the #1 name in piano lessons online.
Hi, I'm Nate Bosch, and today I'm going to talk to you about intervals. When learning to play piano by ear, it's very important to understand intervals between the notes. Now, what is an interval? Well, it's simply the space between two notes. Now, let's use C as our starting point, and when you're trying to understand the distance between these notes and try and hear what they sound like, you want to have a starting point, and that's our root, our tonic. There we have it. Now, before we get into the intervals, we're just going to review the scale that is based on our root. We'll just do the major scale based off of that, the C major scale. Now there, if you listen to that, I'll play it again. Okay, so that's the C major scale. I'm going to start with the basic intervals found in that scale. I'm not going to use all the black keys right now. We're just going to start with the basic intervals, and we're really going to train our ears what we're listening for. So here, if we start at the beginning, in between the C and the D, that interval is a second. It's actually a major second. Now, if we go from the C to the E, listen to how that sounds. That is a third. Now, if we go from the C to the F, that is a fourth. Now, you can see it. See what I'm playing. There's the interval. You know it's a fourth. But now really listen. As we're going through this, really listen to how it sounds. We've got a second, third, we've got a fourth, now we've got a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and then an octave. Now, an octave is a pretty easy one for you to hear because it's the same note just played higher or lower. Same note, just at a different pitch. So let's go through that again. We've got a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and then an octave. Now, in those intervals, there's also, other intervals found within that. Like I said, we hadn't used the black keys, so now let's look at the black keys and name those intervals in there. So we start on the C. We know that we had a second here when we went to the D, and I called it a major second. Now, if we go just one black note above the C, we have what's called a minor second. Major second to the D. Now if we go to the E flat from the C, that is a minor third. The E is a major third. Now if we go to the fourth, that is a perfect fourth. Now if we go up to the black note above the F, we're looking at an augmented fourth, or you could say raised fourth, but the term is augmented fourth. Or another term for that would be a diminished fifth, or a lowered fifth. Now that fifth that I'm talking about is the C to the G. That is a perfect fifth. Now I'm going to stop there. The reason I'm going to stop there is because when you're building chords, it's very important to understand what these intervals sound like. So when we're building a C major chord, we know that we're doing C, E, and G. Well, what are the intervals in that chord? Well, we have a major third and a perfect fifth. Well, now you're starting to hear where, okay, we're not talking about just 2-note intervals. We're talking about being able to build chords. And so you know what the chord sounds like, that major chord. Now what if we change that chord a little bit and we wanted to use a minor third? So from C we play a minor third and then a perfect fifth. We put those three together, now we have a C minor chord. Built and understanding those intervals. So a minor triad has a minor third and a perfect fifth based on the C. So that sort of, you can see how that you get to the next level. You start understanding these intervals, and you can, by knowing it, having knowledge of these intervals, you can start to build chords. But the key here is understanding the sound. There's the difference between those two chords is just the one interval, that third. In the major chord, it's a major third. In the minor chord, it's a minor third. It's kind of where the name of the chord, that's where the chord gets its name from. But what do you hear when you hear it? You can call all these names, intervals, minor, major, you know, it's the C major chord, C minor chord. Yes, those are all terms for what it is. What does it sound like? Well, this has got a bit of a happier sound if we want to use just basic terms. It's a little bit of a sad sound. That's what your ear is, that's what you want to train your ear to hear. Yeah, you want to understand that when you hear that, I'm listening to a third. But I'm also listening to a third here, and there's a different feeling that comes from that. I'm not going to get all touchy-feely on you here, but that's essentially what we're doing when we're training your ear. Now we stopped at the fifth there before I digressed a little bit.